Present.
Myers. Howard.
Here.
Redmond.
Here.
Thompson.
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment this evening? Okay. So let's move on to the consent agenda. We have the 7/17/23 commission meeting minutes, the 7/24/23 special committee minutes, and the appropriation ordinances 2023-15, 2023-15A, 2023-P15, and 2023-P15A. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns on any of those?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redlin,
I'll second.
a second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard.
Yes.
Redmond.
Yes.
Myers. Showalter.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to presentations and proclamations. We have a presentation from the police intern. If you would, come up over here to the podium and just introduce yourself for us, if you would, please.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Hi, my name's Hayden Blockleyer, and I work at the Goodland Police Department this summer.
Welcome.
Okay. You can switch it.
It'll be-
Oh. Some things I did every day was file documents, print and scan paperwork, obtaining the drug spreadsheet. I helped maintain the evidence room. I filled out VIN inspections, which is everything that I love doing those. Yay. Answering the phone and helping people that came into the office. During one of the first 3 weeks that I was there, I went on a ride along, and it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. I was just jumping everywhere. It was so much fun. I never really saw that side of everything. I really saw it all in the office. So when I was able to get out there, it was a lot of fun. During the one specific stop that we had, I asked a question about some guy had a seatbelt on, or I don't remember really, but I asked a question, and instead of the officer just guessing, we stopped and we looked it up, which that really stood out to me more than it probably did the officer, because it just really showed how much that having the right answer was really important at that time, and so it was really nice. Some things that I learned was at the beginning of the internship, I really didn't know what it was like to be a police officer. I didn't really know how much paperwork they had to do. I mean, so much paperwork, but I found that there's way more to the job of police officers and what happens behind the scenes. You really just see in shows that happen, they arrest someone and then they move on. It's not really what happens. It was great to really see that. I was able to know what it was like to have an adult job. I really only worked at the pools and babysitting, so having that responsibility is something that I will carry on for the rest of my life. How these skills will benefit me. Like I said, the responsibility, knowing I had to wake up, go to my job every day, I had to be on time, which I know is other days. I didn't really have that flexibility of calling in stuff, which I mean I did, but I really didn't do that because I knew how much important it was for me to be there, which is really great for me to learn at such a young age. I'm still in high school, I have 1 year left, and so it was really great for me to do that. And I also learned just how to make relationships with people in such a short period of time. Before, I didn't really know any of the police officers, never been pulled over, knocking on wood on that. But, so I didn't really know any of them, but now, I see them driving by and they'll wave at me, they know my car, so it's really fun just to make those connections in such a short period of time, and I think that's really good to have. Again, what I learned, I was tasked with different things that helped me in the evidence room to getting case files ready to go to the city and county attorneys. I learned the importance of time management and along with accuracy, like you have to have everything important, like on time, everything. I learned that being able to keep calm when people are unhappy is an essential, because some people are not very nice, but you had to be nice, so that's something I definitely did learn. The benefits of this Next Gen program, like I said earlier, I really only did babysitting and like lifeguards. So this is like my real big job, and it's really nice to having that experience under my belt when going into college and getting those bigger jobs. Someday I might, like after doing this, I really am interested in this career path, and just knowing everything that I'm getting into has been really beneficial, because it is something that like not a lot of people know exactly what it is, and so now that I understand it, it's definitely something that I want to look into when I'm older. So that's definitely a big benefit that I have gotten. Some of my highlights was, well, of course, Bob. I always dressed him up, and he sat on my lap. But one of the big highlights I had was helping with the search warrant. I never really like understood what that was until they asked me to go and help them, and I was under the assumption that it would just be like in the movies, you know, they knock on the door and they break it in. That definitely did not happen. Nothing like that. I learned that you're not to take anything that's not on the search warrant, so you can only have what you take on the search warrant, and you also have a piggyback warrant. Again, not really what I knew. I just knew that people knocked on the doors, tore them down, you know, things like that. So that was definitely something I learned. And another big highlight was like just working with everyone. Isabella, she's the one I worked with the most, and I've just gotten so close to her. She really showed me what it was like behind the scenes, and I really enjoyed working with her. Of course, Frankie, you know, he's stubborn, but I'm glad he hired me.
We all know.
I'm glad he hired me. Snuck into his office and got some candy sometimes. He'd throw things at me, but it's okay. And of course, Jason. Everyone thinks that, you know, around high school he's always like row caught, but I didn't think that. He played basketball with me. Everyone's like, oh, he's mean, and I'm like, no, you just don't know the side of him, and I've really got to know him, so. Oh yeah, we also do have a lot of water fights with the water bottle that's for the cat. I literally was in a swimming pool one time, so it was really great. So the internship has given me a whole new meaning to the work meaning to the work of a police officer does. The commitment to the community to keep them safe. They literally sacrifice so much time with their family. Always, they sacrifice time with their family, and just knowing that they're on call all the time, it's really shown me how much dedication they have. It also has taught me so much more has happened than what you actually see on TV, which not a lot of people know. They think that everything on TV is true, which is not. And so it taught me that everyone truly misguided on what an officer's job was. So I really enjoy working here. And so here's some pictures of Bob and me and Marvin. Me and Marvin had a photo shoot for this. And yeah, Bob, he's my favorite. And yeah, that's it.
So I probably should have said this before, but we were approached by Next Gen internship program, and that's how all this happened. And she did have a little graduation ceremony last week, and she did this PowerPoint for them. So we thought it'd be a good idea to do it for y'all. So kind of new, you know, we didn't really announce it, but yeah, she started in May, at the end of May, and she's done a very good job, and I'm glad she got an opportunity to see what actually goes on. That way, if this is the field she chooses, she won't be blindsided. And but she's done a really good job, and we're hoping to do this again next year with her, so that'll give her some more experience. So.
Thank you all for having me.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on. We have your proclamation today for 811 Day. on August 11th, 2023. Whereas thousands of times each year, the underground infrastructure in Kansas is damaged by those who fail to contact 811 and have underground lines located prior to digging, resulting in service interruption, environmental damage, and threats to public safety. And whereas in 2005, the Federal Communications Commission designated 811 to provide contractors and homeowners with a simple number to contact utility operators to request a location of underground lines at the intended dig site. And whereas Kansas 811 provides one point of contact available by phone and online to help reduce damages to underground facilities, thereby reducing the loss of service to the public and the loss of time and money to contractors, utilities, and taxpayers. And whereas Black Hills Energy maintains its commitment to educate the public about safe digging practices and encourage compliance with local and state safe digging rules and regulations. And whereas damage prevention is a shared responsibility, by using safe digging practices, Goodland contractors and homeowners can save time, money, and help keep Kansas infrastructure safe and connected. Now, therefore, I, Aaron Thompson, Mayor of the City of Goodland, Kansas, do hereby proclaim August 11th, 2023 as 811 Day in Goodland to encourage everyone to call 811 before they dig. It's safe, it's free, and it's the law. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Goodland to be affixed the 7th day of August in the year 2023. All right, we have Troy here with Black Hills. I think he's going to come up and grab a quick picture with us if somebody wanted to take a picture. Okay, now we are going to move on to ordinances and resolutions, and we have a couple ordinances tonight. We'll start with 1764 regarding the 2023 standard traffic ordinance.
Okay, so I included in your packet, or had them included in your packet, the changes to the STO and UPOCs that was in the Kansas Journal. So this is great. They save me a lot of time. They go through and tell what's new and updated in the STOs. Basically, a lot of small change, just a few small changes. The only one that really pertains to us is they removed the mandatory term of confinement for the first and second time offenders on driving while suspended if they were suspended for failure to pay a citation. So that kind of helps free us up some jail time and some penalties there involved. We try and get people to get their license reinstated. Our goal is to get them to have a valid license, not to make it more difficult. I mean, that's kind of, I think Jake and I's viewpoint on that. So we work with them on that. I don't really have any other changes on there that affect us a whole lot. So if you've got any questions,
Anybody have any questions or
pretty
concerns?
straightforward.
I would make a motion that we would approve ordinance 1764-2023 for the STO.
I have a motion by Commissioner Showalter,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Redlin. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Showalter,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers, Thompson.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to ordinance 1765, the Uniform Public Offense Code.
Okay, it's the same thing on UPOCs. There's a few more changes. Some of those would be for the definitions. They added battery against a healthcare provider as in one of the battery cases, you've got simple battery, domestic battery, now you got battery against health care provider. Unlawful restraint, they just amended it to mirror the state law, make sure the wording was the same. And I think same thing with the violation of protective order, they added a word "or," and sometimes they miss those when they put them in these books, and then they try and go back and fix them when they find the mistakes a year or two later. We've got some amendments to the stalking and the watercraft devices, criminal trespass, criminal hunting, counterfeit airbag violations. All of those things are probably things, if those occur, they're probably going to get kicked over to district court. We're probably not going to handle them in municipal court. One thing that did change that does affect a lot of people is that the state raised the purchase or possession of cigarettes or tobacco products, including vape pens, that went from 18 to 21 this year. So, once again, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward this year.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions or concerns on those?
I would make a motion that we would approve ordinance 1765-2023, approving UPOC.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Showalter,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Ragland.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Myers. Showalter.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to formal actions, starting with an authorization to apply for a Dane G. Hansen grant for the Flock system. Kent?
I'll probably start, and if Chief Hayes wants to supplement anything I say. We had a demonstration a couple months ago regarding the flock safety system. We did talk about it during budget as well, whether it could come from either the Vehicle Inspection Fund or from the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, which are two minor funds within the budget. Basically just has rollover money within it, small amounts of money. But this would give authorization for staff to apply for a grant from the Dayton G. Hansen Foundation to install a flock safety system in the community. And depending on the grant requirements, be for the first year and then follow up with for the subsequent years. Or it might be a package deal. I don't remember the result of that conversation you had with the foundation itself, Frankie, but it would at least be for the first year installment of it. So that's what staff is seeking at this time, to submit an application for that.
Okay. We can, let's come to the podium for this minute, please, Frankie. Thank you. I guess a couple questions. One, it's about $15,000.
Correct.
Anyway, say we do get this grant, and then come next year, you don't get any more grants or anything. Is this a program that's important enough for you to make sure that you have a budget line in here for this, even if it could possibly take away from some other stuff in your budget?
At this time, I do believe so. What I would like to do is, the first year is, take all the data, all the hits we get, or, how it helps us in investigations, and put that together, and that in itself, to me, will determine whether to continue or not, or at this point, though, I do believe that it's going to surprise all of us, honestly, because I've talked to different agencies. I've talked to Sheriff Unruh in Wallace County, because they have some, and he can't rave enough about them, about how they assist them. So I feel really positive about that, but I still want to keep pretty detailed data to bring and present and say this is the result of 1 year of this system.
And on that, talking about data, I do know a couple of people have come to me with Big Brother concerns, basically when they've heard about we're putting in the camera system. Can you kind of put those concerns at ease for people about what exactly? And I know we kind of talked about it before when we did the presentation, but maybe explain how it's not a system. We're just keeping track of information of everything that's going on. And it's kind of going back to a database where we have access.
Right,
If
and
needed.
if we don't have a reason to search that particular person, then we'll never know that they passed that camera. Our main concerns are, stolen vehicles, stolen license plates, amber alerts, silver alerts, and, drug investigations. So if they don't have anything to do with any of that, we're not concerned, because that's, you're talking about, hundreds of license plates per day. I don't know anybody who's going to sit there and go through every one of them. We're looking for particular, specific plates, and it's not necessarily that we're putting the license plate in the system. This could be from Wichita, and if it passes our camera, it's going to alert us. So it's not just sitting, it is taking pictures, but if we don't have a reason, we're not gonna dive into it, because that's just not efficient at all.
So basically, like, queries are put into the database. Like if somebody is looking for they have this stolen car that has this license plate, that's put into the database, and then it's searching for that license plate.
Correct.
Is kind of how it works.
Correct.
It's not just reading all the license plates and finding whatever information it can about it.
No,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Or, if we're doing, say, a drug investigation, we can put a specific license plate in, and it'll alert us every time it crosses a camera. So it's not that we're checking on everybody. We're looking for specific things, and as long as they're not involved in those specific things, then we'll never know.
And where, you remember, and I kind of put you on the spot here, you were looking for 5 cameras, right?
Correct.
Where were you looking to place those cameras?
So there's going to be one at the 17, one at the 19, one, I believe it was south of the interstate. There was going to be another one at 8th and 27, and 24, 27. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it was like 3 of the 4 corners on the exits and entrances into town, and then 1 or 2 just off the interstate, and then the 3 or 4 were more coming into the main part of town. 8th and K27, K24, Highway 24 and 27.
Yes.
And then one on the east edge. I thought Cherry and the Highway 24. I thought
I think we moved that one to south of the interstate.
the south of the interstate.
Yeah.
Those were the general locations. So it was more in the common, where you have the common traffic, either entering or leaving the city.
Yeah, and after the presentation, and I'm going to say within a week, they had a stolen vehicle come in, and it parked at Conoco, went and stole another vehicle from McDonald's. So that would have crossed our camera. We also had another one that came from Colorado that I found in the Walmart parking lot. And, this is within 2 weeks of the presentation. So they're coming here. And it just happened by chance that, we came across them. So with this system, it would have picked those up, and we'd have been alerted right then and there. So.
Okay. Anybody else have any other?
I just have 2 questions, Frankie. My first question would be, this camera system, does it enhance your ability to fight the drug problem within our community?
Absolutely.
And the second question is, do we already have flock cameras in operation in Sherman County?
We do not. Well, Highway Patrol has one, that goes eastbound at the state line.
On I-70.
On I-70, yeah, I'm sorry. You know, and I'm talking with some troopers, they're like, you know, their cameras are old. Well, they only have one, but they say it's old. It's kind of an off-brand, and they do have issues with it. They were like, sometimes it picks them up, sometimes it doesn't. So, you know, ours would be newer, I guess you could call it name brand, you know, and we have the support of the company. So,
Yeah.
but that's the only one we have
Sure.
technically.
So if somebody had a concern about, you know, us installing these cameras, you could theoretically say, well, they're already in operation here in Sherman County.
Yes,
We're just adding some to it.
yes.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can assign roles. So, you know, a patrol officer may not have the same role as I do or that Jason does. So they won't be able to say, oh, I want to see, you know, where my wife's going or whatever. It's like you said, it's a strict roles, and so we can separate that where they just can't search for no reason at all.
So I guess that being said, who would you have set up to have the roles to be able to go in there and look in it and search through it?
At this point, it would only be Jason and I. And I set that up because if I'm gone, you know, he has that authority, and if he's gone and someone needs it, I can do it as well. And it's not, that would mainly be used for investigative purposes. You know, it's not, like I said, neither one of us have time to go through the whole list of everybody who's passed one certain camera. You know, the system has the capabilities of, if we're looking for a certain vehicle, we can type that in, and it'll pull up every time they've crossed that camera. But that would be, me and him would be the only role that would be able to do that.
Yeah, and I feel that would be appropriate, I think.
And it does run through dispatch as well. We can set it up so many different ways, but any alerts that come across will notify the officer and our dispatch. So that takes the, hey, I got this, you know, it's efficient as far as timing, because if an officer already knows, they're not having to wait for dispatch to dispatch it, I guess. So and I can set it up to where every alert, like for a stolen vehicle or Amber Alert, will text me and say, there's an alert. So I can at least have an idea of what, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning, this car passed. So,
Perfect. May I have anything else? No?
I would make a motion that we authorize the city to apply for the Dane G. Hansen grant for the Flux system.
I have a motion by Commissioner Showalter.
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Myers, Howard,
Yes.
Redmond,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Frankie. Okay, let's move on to B, the Memory Park standpipe roof repair proposal. Yeah, looked over that one a little bit.
We know, we have been informed that there was an issue with the roof of the standpipe that's in Memory Park. We had been working with USG, which was formerly Veolia, which was formerly Suez, and was formerly Midwest Tank, which was actually the original company that the city signed a contract with back in the early 90s. However, during our discussions, they gave us a proposal, but we had asked for some additional information. And we just have not had good communication with any of the representatives from USG for the last 3 years. So we had a special meeting last week on Monday to give notification of the cancellation of the contract regarding the water tank, but the roof issue remains regarding it. We did have 2 other companies that do quite a bit of work on water towers in state of Kansas submit proposals for repair of the roof on the Memory Park standpipe, who had also provided responses to our RFP for maintenance contract on the other towers in town. So we just thought it logical to go ahead and get responses from those 2 that had responded within the last, what was it, last 6 months and last 9 months as far as the RFP on the other towers. We had received responses from McGuire Iron as well as Viking, and we will have a presentation from Viking because they were the company that ended up with the maintenance contract or the inspection contract on the other towers. We'll have a presentation from that company next time regarding the other towers, and there'll be some additional information and planning for that. But as far as the responses for this Memory Park standpipe, the responses from both companies was included in your packet, as well as McGuire Iron basically did an inspection report on the tower, and they worked well with our water superintendent as far as the preparation for that and the review of the facility. Staff, after reviewing the information, recommends the proposal that was submitted by McGuire Iron. And even though that's a different company, we are comfortable with what they presented and the professionalism that they exhibited in providing the information for it. And as you can see from the pictures on there, you can see that there is a area of the roof that holds water, which roofs generally are not good at doing. And what really brought this to the forefront was, I think it was last year, there was somebody wanting to do something on the roof, and they said they did not want, or 2 years ago, 2 years ago, did not want to step on the roof. They thought it was dangerous. And that was from a person who regularly goes up on water towers. You know, this isn't someone who hasn't been on dozens and dozens of different roofs. So he was very concerned about that. The inspection report from McGuire Iron confirmed that. So they have a proposal in here of $62,500. The proposal from Viking was in the 70s. So staff is comfortable recommending to approve the proposal from McGuire Iron. We had mentioned earlier in the year that this is the type of project that the ARPA funds can be used for. There is a limitation on what we can use those American Rescue Plan funds for. This is a project, and we do have the remaining funds within the ARPA grant that we received that can go for this project. And I've probably said too much, but Neil, did you have anything else to provide regarding this proposal?
Do we know about when they would do this project?
They first have to submit the plans to KDHE, get their approval. But it wasn't that long a time frame.
I'm hoping that they hold off until towards fall where we can drain it or we don't need it. Right now, we fill it every night and pump it out every day to kind of help the system keep up, which we've had enough rain this year, so it really isn't an issue. But it just kind of keeps the plant from running extra hours
that hopefully within the next few months, not like by the end of next year. So a pretty short turnaround.
Get this done and move on. And I think it will have kind of a taper to it where it's not just a flat roof.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
Kent, you said we can use ARPA money for this. Is there enough left of that to cover this project in entirety then?
Yes.
Looks like it's gonna have a 112 pitch on it, so it's not much, but.
We thought about making a pool on the top of the standpipe, but we didn't think enough people would want to go up. So.
The 1 to 12 up is better than the 1 to 12
Up down?
We've already got that.
Okay. So I will make a motion that we approve the proposal from McGuire Iron for the amount of $62,500.
I'll second.
I have a second by Commissioner Redlin. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Myers, Redlin,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, and we'll move on to the engineering contract for cost share project of Caldwell Avenue. Kent?
Well, we had received a grant for a cost share project to mill and overlay 2 driving lanes of Caldwell Avenue, and then as well as address the intersections on Caldwell between 10th and 17th Street. In order to do that, we will need to have engineering plans and specifications completed and bid package prepared, and be able to send it out for bid, hopefully by the end of the year, beginning of 24, and then so we can get on the schedule early in 24 to be able to get the project done. So, yeah, I asked Andrew of EBH to prepare this contract, and it is before you today. I don't know if Andrew has anything else to add.
I don't, just as a reminder, the project's only in the middle, like I said, only in the middle, 26 feet was the original plan. There's quite a few spots out there where there's excessive cracking, where we had planned on doing full depth patching. But for the most part, yeah, the majority of it's just mill and overlay that and hit the inspections.
Okay, anybody have any questions or concerns? So as far as dollar amount, we're looking at, where was it?
$12,500 for engineering design, and then $20,000 for
Up to-
construction engineering and construction observation.
Or an amount not to exceed 20,000 anyway.
Correct. Which on a street that's already built, it'll be difficult to reach that 20,000 figure.
Right.
Okay, well then I will make a motion to approve the contract with EBH for the Caldwell Avenue Cost Share Grant Project for an amount not to exceed $32,500.
Second that.
I have a second by Commissioner Showalter. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Myers, Showalter,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. All right, thank you.
And we won't be the final for this one.
Well, that's always out there. If you ever need it, just let me know. Okay, let's move on to discussion items. Starting with 516 West Highway 24, number 406. Zach, welcome.
So I was contacted by the manager of the mobile home park out there because one of the residents had went to the hospital, and upon going into the house, he noticed it was very disgusting, for lack of better terms. I went in there with an N95 mask on, and my nose was burning and my eyes were watering because the smell was so bad in there from about 30 cats living in that mobile home. It was feces all over the place, the floors, the walls. I mean, halfway up the wall, it was splattered up in spots. Not livable, which somebody was living in there at that time. 2 outlets worked in the entire mobile home. There was no power on the north side of it. The fridge wasn't running. Had to shut the water off because the toilet was leaking, so there was no water into it. I talked with the city attorney about it later that day. We decided to contact DCF. They got me in touch with the Department of Animal Health for the cats that are within that residence. They will not be able to do anything with assisting us in getting a shelter, so I'm still trying to reach out to Humane Society and a few other places that I know of in Colorado so we can rehome the cats. Right now, they are in control of taking care of them and also trying to rehome them until we can get a better timeline established. And once all of my options and resources have run out, then it's basically going to be getting a hold of Kathy, Animal Control, and going down that route. But we're trying to do it as cheap as possible for everyone. That trailer is not livable in any means, way, shape, or form. Once we get the cats out of there, she has agreed to give it to Lonnie, and then it will be removed like the other trailer that was with the dogs shortly, a while ago. Which, that trailer was moved that following week, so it's no longer a problem out there.
But you are seeking some direction to,
Yes, to move forward with removing it ourselves if they do not get any of the cats out of there, because that will have to come out of our pocket.
As far as, so I suppose we got 2 different issues going on here, right? One is the cats. One, if they or you or they can't find any place to rehome the cats, we will have to basically pay Kathy to come and take care of them, correct? And then after that would be, if he does not remove the trailer from the lot, do we want to go in ourselves and take care of it?
Mm-hmm. Which, after working with him on the last one, he got that one taken care of very quickly, so I think
Yeah.
as long as we can get the cats out of there, we can make it a quicker process, but the issue is finding somebody that can take in 30 cats at once.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate for the cats, you know. It really is, and hopefully good homes can be found, or in shelters, or wherever they need to go, where they can then be rehomed, can be done fairly quickly without having to get Kathy involved. I guess my thoughts as far as the trailer goes is, I don't know what kind of a time frame we're looking at as far as getting all the cats out of there, but
I would like to have it done in about 2 weeks, and if we can't find anything in that 2 weeks, really finding a shelter that's going to be willing to drive down, or a rescue, actually have a vet come out, go through all the cats' health, and they're going to be the ones to determine whether or not they're going to be healthy enough to rehome, or ultimately have to put them down.
So can we, I guess, focus on the cats, getting the cats taken care of?
That's my main
And-
goal right now.
I guess, so we have had good luck working with Lonnie out there and him taking care of things that he's responsible for, and I would like to think that he would do so. But if, for whatever reason, we get the cats out of there and some time goes by and he's not taking care of the trailer, can we then revisit then to decide if we need to get involved or not?
Right, yeah. Yes.
sounds like a plan to me.
Okay?
Cats first.
Because I'm way more concerned about the cats than I am the trailer. So, not that I want any of them in my house.
The next property on the list would be 1319 Cherry, which it's the same owner of the trailer. When I finally got to visit her in the hospital after she was allowed to have visitors, and I was discussing the conditions of the mobile home and as to why she couldn't live back in there, she mentioned that there were 2 cats at this property, so I asked if she wanted to give me the keys and contact Kathy, and we could go make sure those cats were okay. When we opened the door, there was 4 cats sitting there, and then we got a little bit further in, there was 4 more, and then we got a little bit further in, and there was one that had passed away. So we're also working on getting these cats rehomed as well before we move forward. As you see, part of the ceiling's caving in, and this house was the same as the trailer. It was just a big litter box, basically. Didn't quite smell as bad because there was a little more room in it, but not one of the most pleasant things I've ever walked into.
So what is her intention with this property?
She would like to fix it and live in it. It would take a good chunk of change to do so, which I believe would be difficult for her in her situation. She's currently staying with her daughter right now, who is assisting in trying to get the cats rehomed. In my opinion, I don't believe it would be beneficial to try and fix this house up with her state of financial.
Are the utilities onto this house too, or not?
No.
Nothing.
No lights, no water, no gas.
Do we know how long it's been like that?
I want to say, Mary, you said it was a year ago when she turned them off. Roughly.
Exactly, I know I was trying to convince her to turn them off because she couldn't carry utility bills.
Which this house was bought in the tax sale, I believe in 2020 when I pulled the report on it. So I don't know how long it sat vacant before that also.
Well, again, hopefully we can get a place for the cats. And I guess beyond that, it does look like it is in pretty poor shape. And if you have determined that it is apparently not a livable place, and we need to start the process on our end of taking care of it, then I am okay with that. You know, if, as anybody else, as we start this process, it's generally a fairly lengthy process before we get to the point where we're tearing anything down, and the owners have ample opportunity to come forward and show that they want to take care of their property and fix things that need to be fixed to make it a livable place. So if that is something that she wants to and is able to do, then great. But if not, I think we should go ahead and move forward with the process.
And then the next one, I believe everybody's fairly aware of, right down here on Center and 14th, a 2-story apartment building that has been vacant for who knows how long. I did pull the title report on that one as well, which it showed delinquent of 20, 21, and 22 taxes. I have spoke to them about this property earlier in the year, and they had planned on coming down and removing it themselves and putting up another apartment building there, which would be great for the community. Nothing's been done since I've talked to them. They haven't really reached back out to me except for a few other properties that they own in town that they got letters for mowing and their trees. I did walk around a little bit. I noticed one of the doors upstairs was open, and this side of the house wasn't as bad as the other side, but the other side there's visible black mold all the way across the ceiling, and it's caving in parts. Most of the windows have been broken out, and it's just an animal refuge at this point. There's graffiti on the inside, so you know kids have been getting in there. this one will have to be addressed at the beginning of next year, because it probably will take most of the budget to get this removed and cleaned up, so I was just bringing it to everyone's attention, that way they know what's getting worked on.
Yeah, I know this particular property has been brought to my attention by at least a couple different people over the past several months, asking about it. And yeah, it's in pretty rough shape as well, but yeah, it is a large property that would be expensive if we were to have to go in and demolish it. You know, and I know there's a lot of properties out there that need to be taken care of. And I'd hate to see, you know, the majority of a whole year's budget for what we do to go on one property, but something does need to be done with it. So,
Well, and especially with its location being right across from the park and kind of in the visible eye where everybody sees it, where kids are gonna be going, it's not safe for them. I think one of the biggest challenges of tearing it down would be on that east side. There's a very small gap in between it and the house beside it. So you'd have to be very careful not to damage the other property, which I believe would drive the cost up, because they're obviously gonna have to slow down.
Disappointing too, that, you know, being right across from a park, it's where people are coming to visit our community, and that's one of the things that they see when they get there is a house in this condition.
And it kind of sets the tone, because they don't really want to drive around anymore, because they're looking at that and they get a bad taste in their mouth without actually learning who we are as a community.
And even though Zach mentioned as far as the actual tear down could occur next year, like you said earlier, it's not a quick process.
yeah.
We can start the condemnation and that part of the process before the end of the year, so that the bid goes out at the beginning of the year. Take care of it. Or we can get direction once the condemnation resolution is presented to you from the commission about timing.
Everybody okay with that moving forward? Yep.
That is all I have today.
You know, one of these days we need to bring you up here with some good news. You know. Thank you, Zach. Okay, last thing on the discussion items is topics for our joint meeting with the county commissioners and the hospital board, which is next Monday.
Yes. And in the manager report, I listed possible meeting topics. I haven't had a confirmation from the hospital director as yet. He was out at the office for over a week, and I wasn't able to get confirmation from him, but from his staff, I did receive confirmation that it was a good date that would work as far as the 14th. So if anything changes, I will let you know regarding that. But the county commission and county clerk are fine with the date of August 14th. So obviously a topic regarding any plans that the hospital board is starting to discuss would be one item. And then there was a couple other items as possibilities. So.
Okay, so the items you have listed on here would be, of course, correction of the hospital and future plans. Just discussing the sales tax with the sunsetting of the old one and the starting of the new one should be happening right about now. Just kind of get a feel for where we are with that and what we need to do moving forward. Discussion regarding the Woolock building you have on there, and I think your question was with the county pretty much being the sole entity that's inside the building, would we be interested in?
What are the plans for the future of the building? It is getting a little unwieldy regarding where the entity that owns the building and insuring the outside of the building, and the county is insuring the items within the building, all the equipment and obviously the personnel within the building. So.
And then an update FEMA floodplain map. which hasn't been done for a very long time.
Yeah, the FEMA floodplain panels for is the 80s, I believe is the last time it was updated. And when I contacted the state of Kansas floodplain office, they have been doing other counties around, but had a didn't have a appropriate response from Sherman County in order to be able to do the floodplain mapping. So just some communication regarding that and plans for.
And what is the importance of the floodplain mapping?
It has importance for people's insurance rates. Is one of the main things it's used for, and also for any properties that could be developed. It has importance for that, whether it's in the county or within the city. And the 2 floodplain panels, and then in addition, they do aerial flights with some LiDAR technology or some other technologies in order to gauge, do the estimates regarding the extent of the floodplain. And that can be, if your property includes part of the floodplain, it would be a good thing to know, because the actual identified area for the floodplain could either diminish or increase. And that would be important to know for anybody that owns property next to the possible floodplain areas. So, and since the state is doing neighboring counties to what we have, I think it would be appropriate this time to look into that, see that as a possibility. If it isn't, or it doesn't want to, that doesn't mean the old panels are no longer effective. But I think you would want updated information if it's possible.
Does anybody have any other topics that they would like to be brought up at the meeting? That they can think of right now anyway.
Not this time.
Because if you do have something that comes to mind, just let Kent know, and we can get it put on the agenda. But
Sounds good.
okay.
I have to check on the time. I'm not sure. A lot of times the county wants to meet a little bit later than 5.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The same with the hospital. I thought it was 6 instead of 5, but I'm not. We'll have to confirm that.
Okay. Anybody else have anything under discussion that they want to bring up? Okay, let's move on to reports, starting with our city manager, Kent.
In addition to the manager memo, I've just information basically on a couple other items. Was informed by Police Chief Hayes and Sherman County Community Development, I think, about the possibility of a trackless train rental for Main Street. I didn't send you a picture of it, did I, Josh?
Say, what exactly is a trackless train? Like the Bankwest train that runs around at the fair?
Pretty
Yeah.
close, a little bit bigger.
Okay. But that concept.
Not too much bigger.
Okay.
It's actually in the Colorado Springs area, so anybody can work out a contract with them to come to their town. So, but they're based out of Colorado Springs area, and it'll be used for the Christmas holiday event, I believe, in order to go up and down Main Street. If you have any concerns with that, please advise. Let us know.
Sounds fun. I like it.
Anybody drive it?
They operate the whole thing. That's part of the reason too, is we're struggling to get volunteers. So we want to keep it going and showcase what the businesses are doing in their windows and their displays and keep activities going so we can bring them in. They run that whole operation and it keeps that still going for those events, so.
Awesome.
It's a busy time of year.
It's too bad. I'd love to drive the train.
Maybe you can get certified between now and then, I don't know.
Classes beforehand.
I don't really have an update regarding the playground grant application. I haven't received the additional information needed from one vendor, so I don't really have additional information. Staff has come up with an idea regarding a water conservation sign contest. Ended up at the groundwater management meeting, ended up winning a timer, mechanical timer that you can put on your hose. So we ended up purchasing a few more of these, and then we're going to have a water conservation sign made by our sign crew. We'll place it at different places around town, and then if someone finds it and lets City Hall know, then they'll be able to win one of these deals. And it will have different tips for water conservation. I know water, we keep getting rain about every day, it seems like.
Yep, just had a real nice one.
But there's other parts of Kansas that are really running short of water. So we've been fortunate this year. Doesn't mean that's going to happen every single year. I'm sure you guys realize that. You've lived here long enough. You realize that. And we can do better. As it came up at the groundwater management meeting, you know, we are pretty high as far as consumption on a per capita per day use. We're over 200 gallons per capita per day usage for the annually, which is higher than a number of other parts of the state. And it was reported, you know, Hayes has done things over the last 15, 20 years. They've had to because of their difficulties with their water situation, that they're down to 75 or 80 gallons per capita per day for their community. So you can see that difference. Hayes is not that much wetter than Goodland is on an annual basis.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
I always like to remind people and the difference between rainfall between Goodland and Kansas City is greater than it is between Kansas City and New York City. So the rest of the country east, the rainfall doesn't vary as much. There's greater differences just in the state of Kansas. And we need to be better about water conservation because it'll help regarding our water and the amount of water we have. And better to start doing different things to try to encourage water conservation while we have types of things happening. So, or good water that we have this year rather than in an emergency situation. So,
yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
So we'll see how that goes over the next few weeks. So, community barbecue is this Friday evening, 5. I'm forgetting the time. That's why I'm saying a little hesitantly. I think it's 5. 5 to 7 as far as the barbecue portion. There'll also be other things happening that day. Since you're here, Jaleesa, can you rattle off everything else that's happening that day?
So it's our last concert at the park. We have band.
Did you any chance I can get you to go to the podium, please? Thank you.
Yes, so we have multiple groups joining this last concert in the park. So we are bringing in David Lawrence and the Spoonful for the concert, and that'll start from 6 to 8. Sherman County Foundation is providing bounce houses, so they'll have the slide and a bounce house. GAA is doing a throwing pie contest for a fundraiser, and then the boys basketball team from the high school is doing their cornhole tournament again. So there's a lot of stuff going on that day. And then that morning, before all those evening events, we have the back to school bash. So the GAC is putting on some events for the kids as the last kickoff to before the school year. So yeah, a lot of fun things and different groups getting involved. So I appreciate everybody coming together for it.
Yeah, I know. I really enjoyed last year's. I'm really looking forward to this year's as well.
So we'll have staff members helping, obviously, with the setup and serving, and I invite all the commissioners to come and meet the public. And that too, if you want to end up working the grill and doing those type of things, so.
Well, I'll be there to fill in wherever I'm needed to help out, so.
And then the last thing in your packet is the notice of hearing is included what was sent to the paper to be published. You'll also receive from the county clerk here shortly. In fact, we ended up getting mailed a copy from one of our properties. The notice of estimated ad valorem taxes that comes from the county clerk and gives that information as well. So, all the hard work that you guys did as far as looking over everything is included in those notices. So, if anybody has questions, concerns, comments, or complaints, please let staff know.
All right, does anybody have anything else for our city manager, Ken?
Oh, one other thing. Ken had something that came up today that I'm failing to remember to introduce it, but he had something that come up today.
Well, we've had some calls and complaints of some residents in town in the alleys. It's mainly the alleys that Black Hills has been working on, and their contractor is Brian Rippey to go in there and fix the alleys after they've been in there. He's having troubles getting millings out from spores. They got to crush some, so just to let you guys know, he's going to be getting the city's millings to put in the alleys, and then when spores gets their plant open and crushed, he's going to replenish our pile. So it's just more or less a heads up, because I've already had 2 people call today saying, "You selling that stuff? I see someone over there." So just let you guys know, we don't sell our asphalt millings, but in this case, we're helping them out to get our alleys fixed up. So. But,
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's good. Thanks.
one more thing, we're chip sealing Wednesday and Thursday. Plan on doing 3 tankers Wednesday and 1 tanker Thursday. So.
On which streets?
Wednesday, we are going to be doing 10th Street from Broadway clear down to Eustis, down there by Urban's place to the end there. We also are doing Broadway 8th to 7th, 8th to Tocas, I'm sorry. But that will, Broadway, we're going to kind of finish up Thursday, and we'll have to pick up, we'll finish Wednesday and we'll pick up on Thursday on the rest of Broadway. So, and then Caldwell we'll be doing Wednesday also. That is kind of,
The north section of Caldwell.
yeah. Caldwell will be from 10th Street to Tocas. And then we're also doing North Main around the fairgrounds and into the cemetery road. So that's approximately, we're a little over 60,000 yeah. 60,000 square yards for the year, so. It's a little less than what we normally do, but about 10, but we're still hanging in there. So. Any other questions?
Hopefully you got good weather to get it done.
I think Wednesday and Thursday is looking pretty good. Depending on tomorrow night's storm, we might be rushing to clean things up before they are ready to go, but that's the plan, so.
Awesome. Great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's move on to commissioner reports then. We'll start down here. Clear on my right, off by himself, Commissioner Showalter.
So I had the opportunity earlier in the week, or I guess it was late last week, to attend a meeting with Kent and some shareholders for a new potential economic development project out by Ruleton. And I just wanted to emphasize, with the good things that are going on right now in our community, there's, the potential of, 100 to 200 jobs that may come to our area in the next 2 or 3 years. I think, the good work that's being done to try to address the housing issues in the community is something that, I think we all need to pay a lot of attention to and get behind those efforts in order to make sure that those projects are able to move forward. If you look at the houses that are on the market right now, you know that what we have right now won't meet that need if we bring in that many people or that many jobs. So I just want to encourage people to stay positive and get behind those efforts to make sure that those projects happen. I think they're vitally important to make sure that these economic development projects go forward.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Howard?
Well, don't really have anything. Wish everybody to come out to the free barbecue and enjoy a good night.
Commissioner Redland?
Nothing from me.
Okay, and for the mayor's report, I have nothing more to add. I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 6:11 p.m.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Redland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Showalter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.